Hello again, and another interesting solution to a potential little issue when using a large amount of aileron travel in crow braking, where you're switching that crow through a switch rather than a proportional stick, or certainly the up aileron part of it. So here's a normal aileron movement, full one way, full the other. And if you were to switch on your full crow braking, there you've got full up aileron, and when you try and roll the other way, that side goes to neutral, the other side stays at sort of full deflection. So now you've got one aileron fully up and the other one at neutral, which is a lot less than your normal full roll control, because normally you would have one fully up and the other one would go fully down, not just to neutral. So you've lost a lot of travel at a time when you probably need it quite a lot. How to recover that? Well, at the moment this is using flight mode separate values. Happen to be using the butterfly flaps menu, but you could be using it in the flight mode trim menu. You get the same effect, just less travel in the flight mode trim menu. The problem is you wouldn't get the full down aileron movement. Now, there's a nice way around this, once again using flight modes. So what we'll do is, in flight modes, in the butterfly flaps menu, we won't be using that at all. So what I'll do is take that out so that our switch no longer has any effect through the flight mode butterfly flaps. Okay to that. And we come out of there and we go up to function curves. Go into the ailerons function curve and change that to be separate per flight mode. Come back to the curve. Now, I'll better change that back to what it defaults to. The function curves, normally there's just one, but we've now changed it, as you can see, to be specific to, or separate to each of the flight modes. And they will default, I should say, to standard. So I'll change it back because I've been playing with it just to prove a point. So that is how it will look to you as you start off. We're in, say, default mode, curve type standard, and here we go, I've got the full travel. What you're going to do in each flight mode is change it from standard to 3-point. So that's the default flight mode. Here's the mid-flight mode, change that to a 3-point, and in high flight mode, we'll change that also to a 3-point curve. Go back to default mode, we'll come down here, you can do it from any mode, doesn't matter. Press the programming button to get into here. Now, you'll notice each time you press the button, the circle moves to show you which of the 3 points is going to be moved when you scroll the dial. See, we're up here, pressed again, comes back out to the big square, pressed again, and the little circle has appeared over here, pressed again, and it's over the midpoint. Now this is the stick at midpoint. If we move the stick, you can see how it travels to the end points. But we've now got a curve for every flight mode. We're in the default, we'll leave it there. If we come to mid-flight mode, and remember we've set the middle point as the one we're adjusting, we can now set that, say, to 50%. Leave that point activated, move your switch to the next flight mode, still active, and whiz that up to 100. Now what's going to happen is that as you switch flight modes, the aileron function curve changes. See, the endpoints don't change, just the point at mid-stick changes. The effect is just the same as before. We can have half and full aileron crow braking. As before, moving the stick to the right's not doing anything, or one way anyway, the up aileron is going to stay. But Whereas before, moving the stick to full deflection only brought the servo back to there, i.e. putting your aileron back to the midpoint. Now, it goes all the way to full down. See? So the up aileron doesn't move as you move the stick, but the down aileron can go all the way down, and now you have one full up, one full down aileron. You've recovered your full aileron travel. And we'll set it to the mid position. There we go. Mid. Got mid crow braking. See, there's mid crow braking. And yet again, we have the full down travel. Lovely way of solving it. Any problems, get in touch. Have fun.